and two strategies that I'll be covering today. One is social media, and the other is good old email. Now, before I continue, I just want to state for the record that these are just my opinions. I'm always happy to listen to counter opinions, and I frequently reconsider my opinions. So I change my opinions sometimes based on new knowledge. Now, what's the motivation for what I'm doing today? Well, we know that COVID-19 has had a terrible impact on the economy. And at the School of Business here at BH, which is where I work, we've been asked to do whatever we can to be of service, anything we can do for the local community. So we're trying different things. And one of the things I'm trying to do is do some of these webinars and share my opinions and my views and whatever I know. Now, I want to play a very short clip from a video. And let's just watch the video right here. So here's the video. And the setup is that this lady, she's an art teacher in Minnesota. So she teaches in the school system in Minnesota. She's an art teacher. So that's one area of work through which she makes an income. And then she also has a YouTube channel where she teaches drawing skills, and she probably makes some advertising income from that YouTube channel as well, and gets a little bit of recognition, and more people get to know her through that. So that's also probably good for her income. And then let's listen to what she says right here in this video. So hopefully everything plays. And if you can't hear any sound when I play this, please let me know, someone, please. Just drop me a chat or something and let me know that you can't hear anything. So I'm going to play it now.
Practice. I do this out of fear. Straight up fear. Like, if anything were to happen to my left hand, I would lose my entire livelihood. So, practice.
So what she just said here, what was that? Let's see. Someone dropped me a chat here. We can hear it. Thank you. Thank you, Elevate Rapids. Thank you, Rachel. So what she just said here is that what you can glean from what she said was that she's practicing drawing with her right hand, which means she's probably she is left-handed, and she's teaching herself to draw with her right hand out of fear, because she says, if I lose my left hand, I could lose my livelihood. And sadly, this is the state of affairs today in this post-COVID world that we live in. We've been given a wake-up call that we could lose everything very quickly. And so we have to diversify our sources of income. We have to expand our sources of income, right? And I just want to share that there is a view out there among some people, some economists and some people who observe the world, that things haven't really changed because of COVID-19. The view is that things have accelerated because of COVID-19, that we were inevitably going in a certain direction. And what's happened now is that we've just gone there faster, sooner than we were expecting to. So these are all little things, little perspective to keep in mind as we go through this little journey of trying to improve our ways of being stable and prosperous and productive in this world. Now, this webinar it's a part of a series of webinars that I did through BH recently, and there were 4 in a series, and I'm just mentioning it so you know that it fits into a larger picture. And so the one we're doing today is this one, leveraging low cost. But there were also webinars on crafting your online offering, on whether it's worth your while as a local business, as a medium, small local business to advertise online. Then how can we leverage some low-cost strategies, and then some ideas for acquiring your first online customer. And the overall series was called Growing Your Business Online. The basic message that I have, the overall basic message that I have for entrepreneurs, for business owners, is do lots of experiments while keeping the cost of each experiment capped, meaning each experiment should have a limited budget, and it should not be allowed to go over that budget. And that budget should be small enough that you can afford to lose that budget without it making a huge dent in your economic situation. Small failures will lead to learning, and they will not wipe you out, but you will learn a lot in the process. Now, this kind of model of innovation, of learning, is a fairly well established common model. So, there's a government agency called DARPA. DARPA is the agency that invented the internet. So they follow this model. National Institutes of Health, they've solved many, many of the health problems in the world. We have a polio vaccine. We have so many other health problems that have been solved before COVID-19, of course. But they've been all, many of them were funded, most of them were funded in part by the National Institutes of Health. Even Thomas Edison had this kind of model. So the model is, what you see down here are these little bars. They represent the cost of a whole bunch of experiments. So maybe you ran 100 experiments, different things you tried, maybe different things DARPA tried, or the National Institutes of Health tried, or Thomas Edison tried. And they all go downwards because they're a cost, and there was no benefit other than learning. So there was no direct benefit from all of these costs, but there were some indirect benefits in the form of learning. And then once in a while, an enormous benefit appears. So this could be the invention of the internet, or the cure for polio, or the future cure for COVID-19, or it could be the invention of the light bulb or he refined the product. He didn't necessarily invent it, but it could be the creation of the commercially viable light bulb by Edison. So this is the general idea. Try lots and lots of little things, have a capped budget for all of these little experiments. And as you learn, at some point, the hope is that you will come up with something that will benefit your business enormously. Now, there are two low-cost strategies I want to discuss. One is using social media to somehow grow your business, and using email to somehow grow your business. And both have their pros and cons, and both have to be carefully managed if you want to do a good job of the whole of doing it. So let's talk about social media. I like to refer to social media as a double-edged sword, right? Now, what's not to like about social media? Social media has so many awesome things. It's kind of word of mouth. We all know that word of mouth is the most powerful form of advertising in the world. And social media is a sort of a type of modern word of mouth. In the past, there were people living in small villages, and they would spread news through word of mouth. Of course, we don't live in small villages anymore, but in some sense, social media could be considered word of mouth. So hey, it must be an amazing thing let's use this word of mouth, right? It's got a large user base. There already are a huge number of users in each platform, so we can just tap into these large user bases. We can post pictures and videos and messages for free. And then we even get some small number of analytic tools which can help us analyze who's visiting our post, and who's liking our post, and who's commenting on it, etc., etc. So it seems like a real win-win type of situation. It seems like an awesome situation. And of course, we should all jump in and start using social media and try to benefit from it for our businesses, right? But unfortunately, there are a lot of issues around, a lot of negatives and disadvantages and other negative issues that we have to contend with. So for example, there is such a huge flood of content on social media these days that anything you are posting, there's no guarantee that the people, even people who are subscribed to you on through their apps, etc., there's no guarantee that they are viewing what you are posting, because ultimately these social media companies, they need to make money. And one of the ways they do that is that you can influence who sees your posts, etc., by advertising on these platforms, or by quote unquote, they call it boosting. So they call it boost your post, which they really mean, what they mean is pay us and we'll make sure that the people who you want to see these posts, they get to see them. Second is there can be controversy if you post certain things, or you could get embroiled in some certain types of controversy. I'll give an example of that in a moment. Thirdly, we don't know if it's really effective or not. Is it effective to post something about my business on social media or not? Is it an effective way to get customers? So we'll see an example, a case study of how effective or ineffective this might be. And then fourthly, customers' attention spans are getting shorter, or rather social media users' attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. Yes, you might post something amazing on your social media account, and it might be liked by a bunch of people. 5 minutes later, they've forgotten what you did. They're on to the next funny thing or the next cute thing, and they've completely forgotten about whatever you did. So how sticky is this? Ultimately, whatever we do, whatever we're investing our time on, we want it to be sticky. We want it to give us returns over a longer time. Then here's another huge problem. These social media systems, they keep proliferating. So there was Facebook, there was Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, WhatsApp, YouTube, and there are going to be more in the future. And there were some in the past that no longer exist. You are a business person. You've got maybe you spend, the average business person I know, they spend 12 to 14 hours running their business every day, thinking about their business every day. And all of it is busy. They're busy all the time with their banks, their customers, new products, other issues, logistics issues, infrastructure issues. How much time are they going to have to invest in trying to manage what's going on these accounts? And then if you hire people to do that, it's no longer a low-cost strategy. Remember, we're trying to have a low-cost strategy. So you can't really, if you can afford to hire people, sure. To manage these accounts, sure, there are professionals who will manage it for you, but then your costs are going to go up. Finally, it's not your platform. Facebook is not your platform. They may share some data with you, but the best data they keep to themselves. They're not going to share it with you. And also, these platforms are in it for themselves. They're not ultimately in it for you. And they're not known for being particularly ethical. The saying, be careful who you hitch your wagon to. Well, companies like Facebook, the reason why they grow very, very fast is, or they've grown very big and very fast, is because sometimes they've cut a few corners. And if push comes to shove, they're going to cut a few corners with you as well. So these things are all, you got to be careful about these platforms. All right, so I want to talk about a couple of examples of controversies that can happen if you get involved, if you decide to start using these platforms. I have a friend who has a small business, and at some point, the friend opened up a small business Facebook page. And they were quite happy about it, and they were telling me about it. And I mentioned to my friend that be careful, these are double-edged swords. You never know what can happen with this, with this thing. So be careful about it. So one day, and I am kind of an informal tech support for my friend because I teach computer courses. I become informal tech support to a lot of my acquaintance group. So one day I got a frantic phone call from my friend saying that their Facebook business page had liked a certain politician's page, liked as in, put a like on there. And that politician's page was showing up as on their page as one of the pages that they follow. Now, it had probably happened because the reception, my friend said that they had hired a new receptionist recently, and maybe the new receptionist liked that politician, and they had liked, they were on the Facebook account of the business, and they had liked the politician's page without thinking too much about it. Now, this politician was a very, very controversial politician, and my friend knew that some of their clients did not like this politician. And so when my friends saw this politician's name on their Facebook page as one of the accounts that their Facebook page, their business's Facebook page follows, they panicked. And so they called me, and then I don't really use Facebook. I've never really used Facebook, but you can figure out how to unfollow and unlike things. So it took me a few minutes, and I had to do that. But it put my friend in a panic for a little while. Just some very innocent little thing that happened on their page. Another time, my friend had a bad review put in by a first-time customer. Now, Facebook lets you put reviews on businesses. You can go in and review 5 stars, 3 stars, whatever. So my friend then started, and then what the Facebook lets you do is you can, as a business owner, reply to a review. And then the reviewer can reply again to your reply. And so there was a huge argument unfolding on Facebook in full view of everyone between the business owner and this customer. And it was not a good, it was not looking good. And so eventually my friend asked me to just delete their Facebook business page account. So that's one little story I have to share, that sometimes these things can be they may not be worth as much as the hassle that they bring along with them. So it depends on your personality type, etc., etc. Here's another example of a controversy that I'm observing. It's appearing these days. So TikTok is this platform where people do dances, etc. And recently I've been seeing that there have been these videos of nurses dancing in hospitals, etc., taking a break from their stress, etc., etc. So here's an example of a funny, silly video, which is basically probably a bunch of stressed out people are, after the stress is over, they're taking off their steam, and they're just kind of relaxing a little bit. Now, in the past, you wouldn't put this kind of thing for the whole world to view, right? And something like TikTok today or here's another one, okay, nurses are dancing. So today, thanks to TikTok, you can put the whole thing, whatever you're doing to release steam and to relax after a very stressful event, you can put that online and the whole world can watch it. Now, I don't have a problem with nurses getting steam off by dancing and putting their dances on TikTok. You don't have a problem with nurses putting their dances on TikTok, but I can guarantee that some people on the internet have a problem with it. And if you Google it, if you just Google nurses TikTok, and you can see the articles, people have problems because they're wondering if maybe they don't have enough work to do, or conspiracy theories are going around about maybe this is all a lie or something about the hospitals and being overwhelmed. And of course, there are also regional issues where there are some hospitals in certain parts are overwhelmed, but some parts of the country, the hospitals are empty because they're still waiting for something to happen. My point is simply this. Social media is going to lead to controversies. You want to be very, very careful to steer away from controversy. Don't put anything online that's going to give you controversy, okay? Because it just may not be worth it, right? So be careful about that. Now, here's another issue. We don't necessarily know whether social media is actually effective in any way at gathering customers, at increasing your business. So here is something very intriguing. Social media, Twitter, Instagram, etc., have been around for 8-9 years now. I don't know of many brands that were born on social media. Yes, Nike uses social media well, and Coca-Cola uses social media well, and etc., etc. Domino's Pizza uses it well. But I've been looking at a bunch of articles about brands that were born on social media, and there was only one brand I could recognize. It was a brand called Dollar Shave Club, which became famous because of these funny YouTube videos that they used to have early in the day, and they sold for a very large amount of money. Eventually, this was a successful company. But in general, I don't know of any born on social media brands besides this one. So it makes me wonder: is social media really effective at helping you get new customers or growing your business? Now, here's another case study. There was an Instagram star. We hear about influencers, right? We keep hearing about these Instagram influencers. They influence the rest of us. And you wonder, as a small business, should I pay this influencer to promote my company, to promote my product, to promote my service? So here's an example. An Instagram with 2 million followers couldn't sell 36 t-shirts. And so here's the Instagram, the influencer. She really has a very large number of followers, 2.7 million. And what happened was she was trying to create her own clothing line. And the minimum order that she needed for her first product, which was this t-shirt, the minimum order number was that she needed 36 people to buy that t-shirt. So she could then put the order in and have the production run. So she put these messages out plenty of times saying, please go and order some t-shirts. And then she could not even get 36 out of 2 million people to place an order. And then she had this post where she, expressed her disappointment with her followers about how, you couldn't even order 36 pieces. So again, this raises a big question. It raises a very big question. Is social media, is it effective? Is there any effectiveness in social media, or is it all just some big mirage? So here are some suggestions I have. I'm wrapping up the social media portion of the presentation, and then I'll start with the email portion in a moment. My suggestions are, unless it's growing your business, don't waste your time on it. You only have so many hours in the day. Everything you do should either directly contribute to growing your business, or it should help you learn ways that you could leverage to grow your business eventually. Invest the minimum time necessary. I don't think you should be investing more than 20 minutes a day on social media. And for the first 6 months, you should just be focused on learning. Just focused on learning. If you're investing a lot of time on social media, then you're just getting swept into it. You're getting swallowed by it, and you're not gonna. It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna give you the kind of ROI, the return on investment. Your time is your most valuable thing that you have. And so be very stingy with how much time you invest in it, but use it for learning. Invest some time and see if you can learn something and if it's helping your business, etc. Never post anything controversial, of course. And here's something though, if you find that you have a knack for it, then you could turn it into a second business. So I got a question here. It says, how do you feel about Facebook Live? And I'll try to address that at the end of the presentation. Thank you for the question. So if you find that you have a knack for it, so here's something I'm suggesting. So when you invest your 20 minutes a day for 6 months, where you're trying to learn this stuff, and you notice if it's working or it's not working, maybe it is working really well, you might discover that you're one of the few people in this world who have a knack for it. All of us have some gifts. We have knacks to do certain things. And until you try certain things, you don't know if you have a gift for it. You might discover you have a gift for it, for managing social media and posting things that people like and that actually help you grow your business. And if you do find you have a knack for it, my suggestion would be turn it into a second business, meaning you are now also a part-time consultant for other businesses that want help with their social media strategy. So there's that. Now, you have to be very careful. You can't jump in all into all of these different, all of these. So choose one. Okay, choose one or maximum two. I would say don't even choose two, choose one of these and just focus on one. And all of them have their strengths. And so you can decide. For example, Facebook is a great platform to earn reviews. If you're confident that you'll get good reviews, go for it. It's a good place to announce events, especially local events. As we are getting more and more online, people hunger for local events. Instagram is a great platform for posting visuals. So if you've got a very visual product, maybe you're a bakery or you make candles or something like that, which are very visual, then use Instagram for visuals to promote your product. And Twitter is a great platform for customer support because people can very quickly reach you. I myself have a kind of a anonymous Twitter account. I don't have any of these accounts under my real name, but occasionally I will reach out to some company out there for customer support if something breaks down, etc. And I'm quite happy with how well companies are using Twitter for customer support. So this is something worth exploring. But remember something, if you decide to use something like Twitter for customer support, then you must do a good job of it. So if a customer tweets at you, you must respond within 24 hours. Now, if you don't ever respond to that, it's going to just hurt your image. So all of these are double-edged swords, and you got to be very careful that if you decide to go for one of these, then you're going to do a good job of it. And if you can't really handle it, you can't manage it, then you should just stop, right? Okay, so that's the social media portion. Now let's move on to email addresses. So there are email addresses are a type of customer data. And there are a couple other pieces of data that I think can be useful. For example, in certain situations, it can be useful to know your customers' birthdays and just wish them a happy birthday. Personally, I'm not a big fan of being wished happy birthday, but I'm aware that some people, they love it when you wish them happy birthday. So I'm going to talk a little bit about harvesting email addresses and certain other pieces of consumer data. Now, before I continue, I just want to mention, I find it very strange that Walmart doesn't have a store card like Safeway does. So here's my Safeway card. And here's what this card does for Safeway. For me, it gives me an occasional discount. Actually, it gives me pretty good discounts. But here's what it does for Safeway. Regardless of whether I use cash or whether I use credit card 1 or credit card 2 or my debit card, Safeway knows it was me. It's able to link all of these purchases to one account through this card because I always use this card regardless of whether I'm using cash or whether I'm using credit card 1 or credit card 2, etc. And so I find it very interesting and very strange that this is such a huge missed opportunity for a company like Walmart. Because if I go in one day and I use my credit card, okay, maybe Walmart has some system of tracking my credit card and tracking all the payments made via that credit card. But another day I can go in and buy something with cash. And Walmart doesn't know this was the same guy who came in the other day and bought something with his credit card. So you take a company like Amazon, they know everything about you. The amount of data Amazon has collected about you every time you've used Amazon is astonishing. Amazon even knows where your mouse cursor is going on the page. It knows how many seconds you spent on each page, going back to your first ever visit to Amazon. So for the last 20, 25 years, if you've been using Amazon, they know so much about each visit. What did you spend time on? And to me, that's an amazing amount of data. And as long as they're using it ethically, they're using it legally, that's fine. I think kudos to them for collecting all that data. Of course, you as a small business, small, medium, local business, you're not Amazon. You necessarily are not able to collect all this data. But my suggestion is, as a general rule, try to collect or confirm basic customer data regularly. but never ever abuse email. Never abuse email. We'll come to this in a moment. Now, I'll give you an example. Recently, I was going a little bit above the speed limit. And so I was stopped by a police person. And, they gave me a warning. Thank you. You didn't give me a ticket. But they confirmed with me what my home address and all that were as they were doing this, because they wanted to make sure that their database is fresh and it's current. So that's a good example of how whenever we are interacting with our customers, we must know some basic stuff about them. And one of them, of course, is email, which is a very, very important piece of information because it's non-intrusive. Email can also be intrusive, but it's certainly not as intrusive as phoning someone. Okay, it's non-synchronous and it's non-intrusive. Now, I want to show you something. Recently, I was on Amazon and I was looking for a DVD drive, an external DVD drive. I saw something very, very strange when I was doing this. I know this brand, LG. I know this brand, Dell. This is the best sellers of external DVD drives on Amazon. And etc. But I had never heard of this brand. And this was the #1 brand on Amazon. It had 4.5 stars after 5,000 reviews. And this second one had 5,000 reviews and only 4 stars. I was very intrigued. Whenever I see something like this, I want to dig more and find out what on earth is going on. So I ordered this drive. And when it arrived, I opened the package and inside there was a coupon. And the coupon said that if you leave us a review on Amazon, they didn't say what kind of review they wanted. They didn't say that they wanted a good review. But if you leave us a review on Amazon and you take a photograph of your review and you email it to us at this email address, we will give you so many dollars off. Now, I don't know how legal that is in terms of Amazon's terms and conditions, etc., whether people selling on Amazon are allowed to do something like this. But look at the effect that something so simple and creative has had on their business. Now, if it's not legal and they get caught by Amazon doing this and Amazon bans them, well, then it's a very tough price to pay. But look at the effect that just something so simple has had on their business. And here's what else they're doing. They are harvesting my email address. So they're building a little relationship with their customer by doing this. And they're getting good quality data because I have to email them and it has to work. It's not me just telling them my email address over the phone or something like that. So my point is simply this. Someone here is a very creative thinker in this company. They have a very, very creative thinking person in this company who's using all kinds of systems to build a tighter relationship and get their ratings up and sell more product. And maybe all of us have to become a little bit like this. We have to start being more creative at harvesting email addresses. And then, of course, we have to be very careful because of its open nature. Email, because by open, I mean anyone can email you in the world. So all of us regularly are getting lots and lots of unsolicited email all day. So email is something which must be very carefully handled and it must be respected. All right, we must respect email. And it's a very, very big question. How do you use email in a way as a business? How do you use your email list in a way that you are respecting your customer? Now, even Amazon has problems. So here's a little, we all have pet peeves with email, etc. But here's Sarah Silverman. She's a comedian. And she says, I love you, but just because I bought a trash can doesn't mean I need all your latest trash can news. I got one. So this just shows, it's reassuring to me. It shows me that even Amazon hasn't figured it out, which is very reassuring to us little people, right? If even Amazon can't figure it out, then, well, there's some room to make mistakes. But I'll show you an example of an email that, it's fooling me into thinking it's a legitimate email. And when I realize it's not a legitimate email, well, I'm going to take the worst possible action on that email. So here's an email that I received on my BHSU email address. And the problem with this email is it gives me the impression that I know this person, that we've had a discussion before, because it's got a very informal tone to it. Now, informal tone is a good thing. If you know the person, if you actually know the other person on the other side, informal tone is a great thing. But if you don't know me, this is an unsolicited email, and you use this false, informal tone to communicate with me and make it seem like as if I know you, or you know something about me, or you know something about my CIO at BHSU, well, then after reading it 2 or 3 times, I suddenly realize, oh, this is just spam. And so I'm going to block it, and I'm going to put it into spam, etc., etc. So we have to be very respectful and very careful with emails. It's not a solved issue. And I give them points for trying, right? They have a business. They have been asked to cold call and reach people out there in the world. And I sympathize with this person. I've had to do this kind of work also in a couple points in my life, reaching out, making cold calls to people. But I'm just saying that if your emails are such, when you eventually email people, your customers, you have to be very respectful and very careful about how you handle it, because you don't want them to get turned off or ticked off by your emails. So what are my suggestions, right? Okay, if you're going to do this, first of all, we must use a database to manage email addresses and perhaps customer birthdays, postal addresses, and phone numbers. Okay. For example, an Excel spreadsheet might be a database, or if you can do Access database, that's even better. But I'll give you an example of an even better solution in a moment. My suggestion with emails: do not email your customers more than once a month. Call it a monthly email in the subject itself. So put the word monthly in the subject, so that the moment they see that email from you and they see the word monthly, they say, oh, okay, it's only once a month. It's okay. At least they don't flood me with emails, and they don't completely swamp me with emails. And mention on the top of the email that you only send it once a month, only send once a month, so that it's reassuring. It's very reassuring to your reader that it's not going to lead to a flood of emails from you. Put something in the email early in the email that they will benefit from, even if they don't care about your business. So give people something in that email, so that even if they don't care about other stuff in your email, they still feel that they didn't waste their time going through your email. It could be a piece of news, piece of health news, depending on the kind of business you are. Maybe you're a bakery or something. It could be some little piece about carbs or gluten, or it could be a recipe. But put something in there. And this is not easy. Again, like I said, these are not solved problems, but if you figure out how to do this, you're gonna get happier readers of your monthly email. But put something in that monthly email so that when they read it, and maybe they don't care about your coupon or your discount or whatever, but if they read it, they feel, wow, they gave me this business just told me something I didn't know. And so put that in there, put it early in the email, so they don't feel like you left it right in the end for them to read, because they may not even reach up till the end. They may not even read all the way there till the end. So put it early in the email. And then finally, respect unsubscriptions. This is a very important thing. If people are unsubscribing, then respect it, right? Now, how do we do that, right? We are small businesses. We don't have a lot of time to do all of this stuff. Fortunately, I'm giving the example of MailChimp, but a lot of these companies, and if you just go to Google and you enter MailChimp's competitors, you'll find their competitors. But I'm going to use MailChimp because they seem to be the largest in this bracket. This is an email list management company. Up to 2,000 contacts and 10,000 emails a month is free. Of course, you have to realize that if you decide to go with them, what did they get from you, right? They're giving you all this stuff free. But of course, they get all these email addresses from you. And fortunately, MailChimp so far has built a very good reputation for not abusing this. But it's still interesting for MailChimp because internally they might be building some profile, some super profile of email address, using email addresses, etc. And they are always happy to get some more content and some more data about different email addresses, etc. So what you're doing is you're paying them through sharing your email list, the list of email addresses, and then they, in return, are giving you these services for free, and they seem to be respectful and respectable as a company. So it might, I wouldn't. So far, they've never raised any red flags publicly. So I think they're worth trying out. So let's see what that service looks like. So here is MailChimp, and they have this free tier right here. And if you go down, you can see 2,000 contacts and up to 10,000 emails. Somewhere down here, they mentioned that. So monthly email sends is 10,000. But here's why I recommend something like this for small businesses. If you start using some service like MailChimp, they will introduce you to this stuff, behavioral targeting, segmentation, because they have some information about these email addresses already somewhere. And they have created some groups and some, for example, they might know the general age group, or they might know the income brackets of some of these email addresses, and they will share some of that data with you. So they'll be able to help you target high income group or medium income group, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the main advantage for you as a small business owner is you will learn a lot. If you start doing some of this stuff once a month, it's something that might lead to a whole new level of insight about your customers with their dashboards. For example, MailChimp will even tell you, in many cases, not in every case, whether your emails are being opened or not. It will tell you how long they are being read. How much time are people spending on your email? And the best part, but this stuff is not free, you'll have to pay for that, is it will at some point, if you are willing to pay them, they will tell you how to improve the quality of your communication so that you can get more quote unquote engagement, which is this holy grail that everyone's looking for. So you can, that's where the learning can come about, right? Now, we all have to remember that we are in this strange new time. Okay, strange new time. And we saw that video of this lady who's teaching herself to draw with her right hand. And we all have to now extend. We all have to diversify. We all have to learn, or we have to teach ourselves to draw with our right hands, because we are in this very uncertain time. And the only defense we have is knowledge. Okay. So I wish you luck. I hope that you can try some of these ideas out and learn something, and maybe make a few mistakes along the way, but learn something that can get you here, that can get you to this huge victory that sets you up and makes you stable and sets you up for the future in a whole new kind of economic scenario. Because things have accelerated, a lot of things have accelerated, and we all have to become better at online, right? So that's my presentation, folks. I'm done now, and I think I now have to do some Q&A, right? So let's look at the first question. What do I feel about Facebook Live? Well, from whatever I know, Facebook Live is used by a lot of stars to have, little one-on-one, and even politicians are using it. They'll go on, they'll be cooking something, and they'll turn on Facebook Live, and they can talk directly to their customers. So if you have a business that lends itself to something like that, okay, let me bring this right here. Here's the chat window. So people can see the chat. So, if you have a type of business that lends itself to maybe a conversation with a group of your customers, then something like Facebook Live could be useful for that. Absolutely, of course. But again, just be very careful, because there are a lot of trolls out there. There's a lot of controversy that people are trying to stoke. And sometimes you have to really weigh the pros and cons. And you have to be very careful not to do or say something controversial on one of these things, because people can just use it as an example, a stick to beat you with, unfortunately. Anything else, folks? Thank you, Megan, for this little point here about Amazon and how that DVD company was using. I guess, but remember this: Amazon can change their policy tomorrow. So when you're dependent on somebody else's platform, they can always change their policies, and so you never know what happens, right? Alrighty, folks. I think that's it. So I'm gonna call it a day right now. Thank you so much for being in the room today. All right, all of you folks. Thank you so much. Lots of people here. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.